Hey guys, it is Wingy here and welcome to my Q&A video. But first, just about my previous video, which was about my reaction to the 13th Doctor. Thankfully, people who did want a female Doctor and people who didn't want a female Doctor, you could all understand where I was coming from. So thank you very much for that. And there was people that obviously didn't necessarily agree and, you know, they went down the whole sexist, misogynist route, but they just didn't get what I was trying to say. I was trying to talk about it from the context of within the show itself. And even though I'm not necessarily happy about it, we have to wait and see. And who knows, it doesn't mean that I'm not open to the idea. We just have to see how it goes. But anyway, to those who understood exactly what I was trying to say, then thank you very much. Let's go on with the Q&A. So I'm literally just going to scroll through the comments and I'm literally just going to answer every single question. So depending on how long this video goes on for, it may be in two parts, but we'll have to see. First question, Bumblebee Magnify. When did you start watching Classic Who and why? It was because I saw Sarah Jane in School Reunion. I really liked her, and then I went and bought The Hand of Fear on DVD because that was out at the same time, just to coincide with her coming back. Watched that, loved it. They also ask, have you watched all the episodes? I have indeed. Not all of the recons though, because I find it quite difficult to watch them because it is essentially a slideshow. But other than that, yes, I've watched every single one of them, including the animations. And their third question is, which episode of Classic Who would you suggest for a first-time viewer used to new Who? I said this in a previous video, probably the Sontaran Experiment, just because it's sort of lengthwise the best place to adjust yourself to the format of the classic series. All the other thing that I would say is to maybe just pick a Doctor that you like the sound of and just start from their era and work your way across and then back and then any other way. That's kind of how the show works, really. Polar Continental, do you like Star Wars / Harry Potter? If so, what's your favourite film / book from each franchise? And congrats on 1,000 subs. Thank you very much. Yeah, I do like Star Wars. I've got videos about Star Wars. Favourite film is Empire Strikes Back. Harry Potter, I used to love as a kid, but I've really sort of gone off it recently. I tried rewatching it again and I just didn't really like it. The favourite book is also my favourite film as well, which is Goblet of Fire. Casual Craftman. Now you have quite a few questions here, so I'm just going to go through them one by one. Have you seen the show Farscape? Not even heard of it, to be honest, so no. What are your favourite and least favourite Cartoon Network shows? Now I'm just trying to remember which ones were actually on Cartoon Network when I watched them. Dexter's Lab was awesome. I used to love that. Ed, Edd n Eddy was great. I never really liked the Cramp Twins though. Thoughts on Bionicle? I loved it when I was younger. I had one of them and I watched the film and I remember liking it, so yeah, I'm not into it now much, but I used to like it. Favourite and least favourite Nickelodeon shows? Love Drake and Josh. Drake and Josh, SpongeBob, they're awesome. Was never a massive fan of iCarly. Thoughts on Cards Against Humanity? I need to play it more, but it can be so brutal and it's so funny when I do play it. The last one that Casual Craftman asks is, what are your favourite and least favourite video games? Least favourite, I'm not really good at Call of Duty or shoot 'em up games like that, so I kind of avoid them just because I know that I'm crap at them. Favourite would be probably either the GTA games or Ultimate Spider-Man for PS2. I used to love that because you can play as both Spider-Man and Venom. It's awesome. Glenn Reed, do you think that Doctor Who will survive the 13th Doctor? Obviously it's a lot to take in at the minute. People on both sides are sort of in a divide at the minute. Some are like properly excited for it and some are really sort of panicking and some are boycotting the show, and I think that that's wrong. I think what you should focus on is that we do have a new Doctor. It is a massive change, probably the biggest change in the show's history since Patrick Troughton. The only thing that we need to worry about is whether or not the show's good and it's written well, and all of its stories and monsters and creatures and everything like that. As long as it's all brilliant still and it doesn't lose anything, which is something that I am worried that it will, then it should be fine. If they don't do it right, this will be the end. Paul Charles Morris, since there are over 6 months until the next episode, will you do a review of every season / series since 1963? Probably not, because I've got a lot of other video ideas, so I probably wouldn't get them out in time, and I don't really like sticking to Doctor Who because I know it's the stuff that gets me the most views and everything, but that's not really what this is about. It's me just talking about stuff that I'm passionate about, and I'm passionate about Doctor Who as much as I am Star Wars or Marvel or DC or stuff like that. So, you know, it's an idea that I could do for the future, I don't know, but maybe. Mr. Shen R, what is your favourite type of genre when you watch a movie, TV show or any other forms of media? Love your vids, by the way. Thanks very much. Favourite genre? I don't know really, because I like a lot of science fiction, but I also like superhero stuff. I really like comedy and sitcoms and that sort of stuff. Drama's really good. I like cop shows as well. Not as in like the camera action type cop shows. I mean like a police drama, so something like Life on Mars, for example. I don't know, as long as it's enjoyable, well, and it's written well, and it's got a good cast. That's all I want. Lemming 2097 or 2097. I don't know how you want me to pronounce it, but there you are. A few questions here. So, your favourite unpopular story. I'm assuming that's about Doctor Who. Favourite unpopular story? I don't know. I guess probably it's Attack of the Cybermen, because I never hear people really praise that story, but I absolutely love it. I think Attack of the Cybermen is great. Next question that they ask is, which companion do you have a secret crush on? Is it Mel? Go on, say it's Mel. Is that just because she's a redhead as well? And it's no secret that I think Jenna Coleman is gorgeous. I just hate her character. Sarah Jane I thought was gorgeous back in the day, and she still was, even in the Sarah Jane Adventures. Leela, of course, Lala Ward, Jo Grant, I mean all of them pretty much. I mean Perry. Perry's my favourite. Torchwood, I'm assuming my thoughts on Torchwood. Love it. It's the best Doctor Who spin-off. Do you know whatever happened to Rob Shearman? I think he just didn't want to write anymore for Doctor Who. I don't know if he's done Big Finish before or since he did Dalek, but he definitely needs to do more. And where for you did New Who jump the shark? Yeah, that is an interesting one. I'm just trying to think of when I sort of fell out of love with it, and I think it might be Series 6. I definitely think that there is still great stuff since then, but I haven't really been as passionate about Doctor Who since I have been, or at least the new series of Doctor Who since then. I think Series 6 was such a convoluted mess of a season. It's probably since then, but I really enjoyed Series 10, so we just have to see what the future holds, I guess. Tasha Homan? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. What are your thoughts on the TV movie? I think it's really good. It's quite underrated. Yeah, it's not the best thing in the world, but I still think it's really enjoyable. Paul McGann's great. Eric Roberts is there, and I think the story is a bit simplistic and maybe a bit too convoluted at the same time. How that happened I don't even know, but I actually quite enjoy it. Louis Pearson, what are your favourite shows other than Doctor Who? I love loads of stuff, man. I really do. Life on Mars, Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow. I mean, the Netflix Marvel stuff is great as well. Only Fools and Horses, Friends. They're the kind of main things that I can think of off the top of my head. The In-Betweeners as well. Anthony Irvine. God, I'm hopeless with names. You sound like you're from Lancashire. To be more accurate, Bolton area. Where exactly are you from? Not far off. I'm actually from Stockport. Paul Charles Morris, what do you think of Doctor Who The After Show? I'm not really a fan of it. It's not really something that I'm interested in. I've seen it a couple of times, but it depends who the guest is. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of it, really. I'm not really a fan of Doctor Who The Fan Show either. I just don't think it's for me. Henderson Austin, I see that Yu-Gi-Oh! Legendary deck box in the background. Do you play Yu-Gi-Oh! And if so, what type of deck do you play? I play a Synchron deck and an Agent Fairy deck. Yes, I do play Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't really play competitively now because I don't really like the way that the meta is with all the pendulums and link summoning. I have warmed to, but I think the main decks that I would play are probably Dark Magician and Heroes. Although with link summoning, Heroes are probably going to get wrecked, but Dark Magician should be fine. Henry Dude Star, yes or no to an 8th Doctor anime with Charlie animating some of their Big Finish stories for CBBC or just as a classic series DVD? That'd be awesome. Not even just for the 8th Doctor stuff, but I think maybe making animations of any of the Big Finish stuff would be incredible. The only worry that I would have with that is because it's audio and you're adding visuals to it, you're kind of losing the imagination that you have in your mind when you're listening to a story. So as long as they did it well, I think I'd well be up for it. I don't think CBBC though. It would probably have to be like a straight to DVD thing. Liam Matthews, what is your favourite aspect of Old Who and New Who? Character / story, etc. I mean, just the fact that it's Doctor Who and it's great. I mean, it has its moments where it's incredible, but it also has its moments where it isn't. So I just love all of it, really. Sorry if that was kind of a cop-out answer, but it's true. 7th Who Nots. Which Doctor Who item that you own means the most to you and why? I have multiple different Tom Baker scarves. If you couldn't tell, I'm a massive fanboy of the 4th Doctor. So I guess any of them. But I also have autographs from Tom Baker and they mean a lot to me as well. Terry W. DeLorean or TARDIS? TARDIS. And he also asks, who would win in a fight, Missy or River Song? Probably Missy. I think Missy is more likely to kill than River Song, so I give it to her. Jack Hook, what is your least favourite Doctor Who enemy? I can't remember what it's called now, but it's from The Invisible Enemy. Is it the Nucleus of the Swarm, I think? If I've got that wrong, I apologise, but yeah, probably that, just because of how shit it looked. It just looked like a weird gone off prawn. Harry Brown, awesome name as it is an awesome film as well. Okay, so you've got a few here. So what is your favourite classic Doctor Who episode? The Hand of Fear. Modern Doctor Who episode? The Empty Child the Doctor Dances. Doctor, Tom Baker. Companion, Sarah Jane. Doctor Who spin-off, Torchwood. Sitcom, Friends or Only Fools and Horses. Comedy film, probably Elf. Other TV drama, I guess Life on Mars. Film, probably The Dark Knight. And video game, GTA or the Ultimate Spider-Man game that I was on about before. Dr. Con, do you find paper cuts painful? I don't really have them that much actually, but yeah, they are quite painful depending on whereabouts you get them on your fingers. Like if it's sort of in that bit there, that looks weird on camera, oops. But if you get them sort of in the crease here, then that's quite painful. But Paper Cut is actually a very good song by Linkin Park, so I kind of just take my mind off it by thinking that in my head. The Doctor's Assistant 1 with 4 questions here. Number 1, do you watch Rick and Morty? If so, what do you think of it? I don't. It's probably something that I should watch and I'd probably like, but I just haven't got around to it yet. Number 2, if you could write a Doctor Who episode, what would it be about? I'm actually thinking of making a fan film. I'm currently in the middle of writing it. I don't really want to say what it would be about because I don't want to give ideas away or sort of, I guess, spoilers for what it would be about, but I would definitely make it a lot more creepier and full of horror compared to how Doctor Who usually does it. Number 3, when did you start watching Doctor Who? Back in 2005 when I was 10. First episode was Rose. I saw that as it came out, I think. Number 4, favourite movie of all time? Well, I just said it's The Dark Knight. Pickles Parker Reviews. Awesome name, by the way. How would you rank the Doctors? Also, congrats for 1,000 subs. Well, I already replied thanks already, but thank you once again. I guess number 1, Tom Baker. The rest of them, number 2. And then maybe David Tennant 3rd, just because I have, over the years, my interest in the 10th Doctor has declined somewhat, purely because of how he was written in The End of Time. I went back and saw sort of the arrogance in him, and it wasn't like, I'm so clever and all this. It was something else, and I just didn't like it. So he's kind of my least favourite, but he's still on the podium. He's still top 3. I did kind of cheat with that, but yeah, David Tennant's my least favourite at the minute. All the others are joint second because I love them all, and Tom is just above them all. Henderson Austin, once again, if you could be rescued by one Doctor, which one would it be? Probably John Pertwee, just because he does look like a superhero, doesn't he? I mean, he's even got the cape, and he just come in with all the... Oh, yeah, he'd do that with all the... Yeah. Brandon Hudson, what do you think of the Doctor Who episodes, The Next Doctor? It's just a crappy Christmas special that's a bit of a waste with the Cybermen, really. Asylum of the Daleks, really shit Dalek story. I hate it, and there's some unnecessary drama in it as well between Amy and Rory. It's pointless, and what a waste of bringing the classic Dalek props as well. It was just stupid. Time of the Doctor, not as bad as I think people make it out to be, but it's still not amazing. However, I do really love the way that they handle Matt Smith's regeneration. That scene where he's in the TARDIS, when the Doctor was me, I love that stuff. Mummy on the Orient Express, I haven't watched it since it was broadcast, but I remember really liking it. And Flatline, I remember that episode was really heavily focused on Clara, and I don't really like Clara, so I didn't really like that episode, and I thought the Boneless were a bit stupid, but if I went back and watched it again, I may like it more. I don't know. I did like the idea of the shrinking TARDIS though. Paul Charles Morris, do you feel that every Moffat episode has a plot hole or loose end, and also which plot hole or loose end frustrates you the most? I mean, I wouldn't say every single one, and I don't even know if the plot holes, but there's certain things that Moffat does where he just sort of leaves them there and he doesn't really follow up with them, or it's a massive anti-climax, or he just sort of expects you to fill in the details, and it's sort of really frustrating. A lot of the time he does have a plot hole within a plot hole. I think one that was really annoying was probably the hybrid thing. That just went nowhere and it didn't really make sense. And there's another one that's a loose end that I can't remember exactly what they called him now. It might have been like the King of Armageddon or something like that. They mentioned this character in Under the Lake Before the Flood, and we've not seen him yet. I can't remember what he was called. If you remember what he's called, then let me know. But it was something like the Leader of Destruction or King of Death, and I'm not talking about the creature that's in that episode. There's a conversation that the Doctor has with one of the people there, and she just casually mentions it. I'd love to know what that was about. Kevin Poole, who do you think is the most underrated character in Doctor Who? Harry Sullivan, Liz Shaw, and Zoe. Thomas Dillon, how do you only have 1k subs? You should have way more. Thank you very much. My question is, what is your dream Doctor Who episode? I.e. what Doctor/Doctors, villains, etc. I would love to have seen the 9th Doctor with the Master, purely because the Master, of course, is another Time Lord. The 9th Doctor has got practically PTSD about the Time War, and I think seeing another Time Lord would be a really interesting thing with the way that the 9th Doctor acts. That'd be such an interesting episode. Rueri Mailer? I apologise if I've butchered that. I'm not really great with names, I'm so awful. Question, what do you think of the Brain of Morbius? Really good Tom Baker story. It's not one of my favourites of the 4th Doctor's era, but it's still a really, really good one. Also, what are your opinions on Sherlock? Thanks and keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Sherlock is one of those shows where, like every other show, it's got some great episodes, it's got some bad episodes. I still really enjoy it though. Benedict Cumberbatch is great, Martin Freeman's great, most of the cast are great in it, to be honest. But it's one of those things where if it came back or if it didn't come back, I wouldn't be fussed either way. Carl Crunch, if you were to portray anyone in Doctor Who, may that be a monster or the Doctor or a villain, who would you want to be and why? I wouldn't want to be a monster just because I wouldn't like being in a big rubber suit. Probably the Doctor. I mean, that's the obvious choice, because why wouldn't you want to be the Doctor? But maybe the Master as well, just because I always see them as sort of two sides of the same coin, and I think that'd be a really interesting dynamic. Plus, beard. So there you are. Joe Arrowsmith, a bit specific, but do you like Mind Warp because it's Colin's top performance as the Doctor in my opinion and a chilling script? It's probably the best part of Trial of a Time Lord, yeah. Well, Trial of a Time Lord as a whole is some of Colin Baker's best performances as the Doctor. I'm not a massive fan of Trial of a Time Lord as a whole because I feel it's really bogged down with the court stuff and the stories just aren't overly interesting as a whole. But Mind Warp, yeah, it's definitely the best section of it. Joe also says, what's the weakest season of Classic Who? Probably season 24. Also, Romana 1 versus Romana 2. Mary Tam is awesome, but I have more of an attachment to Lalla Ward because, I mean, she was in it longer and I saw her first. Susanna Emily, what's your opinion on Trial of a Time Lord, the Paul McGann movie, or the Sarah Jane Adventures? Well, like I just said a minute ago, Trial of a Time Lord, it's bogged down, it's too long. Got some great stuff in it though, like Colin's great in it, the model shot at the beginning is incredible, but overall, it's quite a weak story. Paul McGann movie, like I said before, I think it's underrated. I think Paul McGann is great, and yeah, I really like it. Sarah Jane Adventures, I really like that as well. I didn't prefer it to Torchwood or anything. When it came out, it wasn't really for my audience because I was like a teenager when it came out, so I think I just missed the age range that it aims at, but it was still really good. Howard Buckingham, do you like Rick and Morty? Said that before. Never seen it, probably should, probably would like it, but just haven't got around to it yet. Jeffrey Kittle, oh, I was waiting for this question. As soon as I saw it, I was this is evil. Anyway, congrats and well deserved, thank you. Here's the question. Genesis of the Daleks or Caves of Androzani? You have to make a choice. Now I can tell that you've watched my video where I put Genesis and Caves at joint number 1 because I said that they were both awesome, and you've put me in a really fucking annoying position because I really love them both. The way that I'm going to rationalise this is Caves of Androzani is a lot darker. It's obviously shorter, so that is a plus in a way. It's the best I think the Doctor has been portrayed in terms of the characterisation. It's got a stellar cast. Everything about it is great, but Genesis has the Daleks in it, it has Davros in it, it has my favourite Doctor in it, it has Nazi symbolism in it, which is done really well. Nida's great. Well, actually no, the cast of Genesis is also really good. But I would go to Genesis purely because I watch it more. But that's an evil question. That really is an evil question, man. Joey Gmaj or Jamaj. Again, if I've got this wrong, I apologise. Congrats on 1,000 subs, you really deserve it. Thank you. Question is, now that we know that Jodie Whittaker is the 13th Doctor, who do you think her companions might be? Do you think they will be male or female? It's an interesting one. Personally, I'd like to see another TARDIS crew, as opposed to just the Doctor and one other companion. I would like to see, like we had with Bill and Nardole, with a girl and a boy. But the problem with that is, we've just had that. So are they likely to do that? I don't know. But personally, I think if you just leave her with a male character, I'm not sure if that would work. But also if you have a female companion, I don't think that would work. I think you would need, especially in this time where there is a lot of change going on, I do think you need a bit of extra stability there. So I think we would need a TARDIS crew. The more likely option is a male companion, I guess, just because it's opposite, but we'll have to wait and see. I would love to have seen Eccleston with the Ninth Doctor.